Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Filling Your Cup. I'm your host, David.
And the other host, Calvin. What's up?
And today we're going to talk about an interesting topic that I'm sure we're all dying to hear about, which is rent control. Whether it's good or bad, it's hard to tell, right? But I guess it really depends on who you're asking.
All right. So, what is rent control? So, rent control is basically a broad term for legislation to limit rental rates in a city or state. Basically, easy as pie. So, it puts a cap on rent, and it's a way for the city to kind of control and maintain a base of affordable housing for low to moderate income families. So how does it work? How does rent control work? So any rent increases must be within the guidelines of the city or state. Like I said, they put a cap or a limit to how much you could hike up the rental prices. So for example, like vacancy control, when the tenants move out, a landlord can only jack up the price to the limit given by the control board. If there's vacancy decontrol, the landlord can raise it up to whatever the market can bear.
So what's the argument for rent control? Well, there are a few. Affordability, right? So with rent control, low to moderate income families can afford to live in the cities, such as like SF. Without rent control, it's kind of hard to pay $4,000 a rent. Working with minimum wage, right, or around minimum wage, is almost impossible. So rent control help, keep these workers in the city if they're able to find a unit that allows that's operating under rent control, which it's everybody. All rental units is under rent control laws, but that's if you can, able to find a spot that to live in, I guess. It prevent displacement. So people living in rent control, they're usually like all older people, like they live there for like 20 years, and then if they have to pay market rate, that's kind of hard, especially for all like the elderly who have a fixed income. They're probably retired, not working. So if they are currently paying like 1,000 for rent, and you expect them to pay $4,000, that's just not happening. That's just not happening. And third is like neighborhood stability, right? So this basically just means that people who live in rent control, they're less likely to move out to, or they like less likely to find a new spot. So you kind of build like a community where in the neighborhood you live in, right? So you know everybody there, everybody's a friend, you greet each other. It's kind of like a really inviting community, because like everybody lived there for like 20 years. So that's kind of like it create that bond of that strong community ties. So I guess that's like a really good positive. So what are the arguments for rent control? Poor housing condition. So if the landlords can't raise the rent, then they're less likely to really keep up with the maintenance on the building, right? All the upkeeps, or because like a building will over time get run down, and it takes money to revamp that back to a nice condition or a livable condition. And if the landlord unable to raise rent to pay for these maintenance, then they're not going to do it, because they are allowed to raise a certain percentage of rent every year. But then like cost of material goes up a lot more than that. Because last year, like steel price went up like 150%. If you only raise the rent by 2 to 3%, there's no way you can cover the price to install new piping. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. It's just not possible. So the housing condition will continue to get worse. Less available rental housing. So landlord might not even be like, hey, forget it. Why bother renting out to rent control when I can just tear down the building, rebuild it into condos, and just sell it. I make way more money and not have to worry about the headaches of collecting rent from tenants. And maybe Maybe that's what a lot of landlords are doing and will be doing. And lastly, it disincentivizes new rental development. So land developers, they're not going to build apartments knowing that it's going to be constrained with rent control. So they might just say like, hey, forget it. We're not building apartment buildings to rent. We're only building condos to sell to the highest bidder. So that when that happens, that rental unit, they're not going to be building new housing for the low to moderate family. They're just going to build condos for like the high echelon of the totem pole or the pyramids. They're just gonna it's gonna be for like the rich, if you want to put it that way. So yeah, so rent control is not it's not really such an amazing thing, for because there are pros and cons. So these are the cons. So Calvin.
So all right, so just a quick example in the San Francisco Bay Area, the allowable annual increase for the year 2021 to 2022 is 0.7%. So for the average rent price, excuse my the typo right there, $2,900 in San Francisco. And if it's under rent control, so for the next year, you can only increase it by 0.7%, which equates to $20. So the following year, the rental price is $29.20 but in contrast, San Jose, if the tenant lease is up, you could technically bump it up to whatever price you want, reasonably for where the market will be at, but it's not subjected to like the 0.7% increase that San Francisco has decided to put out. So you are controlled and restricted by whatever the rent board is.
Also, one thing that we didn't really note in this slide is that it's super hard to evict someone in rent control cities. It's almost impossible without getting a lawyer, because rent control cities, they really try to protect their tenants to a fault, and they kind of screw over the homeowner. So if you're a homeowner trying to take back your rental property or whatever, for whatever reason, like just say you want to live in there, you have to basically go through the court system to get them evicted, because a lot of the tenants, they're gonna be like, nah, I'm just gonna stay here. I don't want to move, and they're protected under law. So that's another con for rent control, because it kind of screws over the homeowner. Right? It's like you have to lawyer up, in order to get your place back, and that's just such a travesty.
I agree. Con if you're a landlord, but pro if you are a rent.
So like I said, it depends who you ask.
Yeah, that's two sides to every coin, right?
I think we can all agree that it's probably better to have not rent control, because yes, you do want to keep the people, I guess, who can't afford to live there, but that's not really helping them in the long term, because in reality, you should live where you can afford to live. And if that's away from the city, that might be a better choice for end of the day, because you can scrape by, you can scrape by and live off rent control, but that's not gonna be forever. Like I said, there's always option for landlord to get you out. It might better just to keep it where market rate, because anytime when government intervene when it comes to like pricing, it never really tends to work out. I think like in almost anything, you should let the market decide the price, and I know this kind of sounds very controversial, but then I feel like you should live where you're able to afford to live, without assistance, and that's just kind of like what I think. I know people will be like, yo, that's just like catering to the rich and shit, but we all gotta realize in life, nothing is guaranteed, nothing is fair. Life is super unfair. Like, for example, Tom Brady, good looking guy, freaking like I don't know how many times Super Bowl champion, like a beautiful wife, everything. Like he literally got it all. And versus and like compared to someone else who has nothing. So I mean, like life is unfair. We all know this. But you still gotta be smart. You still gotta be smart, man. Life is unfair, but you gotta be smart. You gotta try to finagle your way through the system somehow. So, end of the day, Calvin, do you think, are you for or against rent control, whether you're a tenant or a landlord? Because you've been through both. You are a renter right now, and you are a homeowner in a sense. So
I agree. So it's tough call because whatever situation you are in, you're gonna favor that situation. So yes, I'm a renter right now, or earlier in my life. Finally saved up enough money to hopefully make a splash in the property owning department. But so there's two sides to every coin, definitely. I totally understand what you were saying, Dave, saying rent control. Every time the government intervenes, there's there's going to be a way for them to put an imprint on things, and whether it's for their agenda or our agenda, who knows? You know, so at the end of the day, it's a tough call. It's because I've been on both sides. It's a tough call. It's a tough call because yes,
Calvin, I'm just gonna say this. It's an easy call, bro. No rent control. Let the market decide the price. And if you're not able to live in that market, maybe it's time to A, live somewhere else, or 2, find another way to make more income so you're able to pay the high rate. Because SF, yes, is rent control, but it's not like a really awesome place to live in anymore. So I think it depends on the social economical of it as well. So but yeah, end of the day, just please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to hear our nonsense on anything, just hit us in the comments. But otherwise, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.